Welcome everyone to the Hopkinton Select Board meeting today, this wintry spring day, March 28th, 2022. First up, we have points of pride.
Sure, I have two I want to share. The first is last Friday was Tom Deere's last day. After more than 10 years of service to the town, about 15. And the highway crew put on a very nice lunch for him there that many people who were here went to, and the food was excellent. They could be caterers when they're not plowing snow. And it seemed like a perfect time to really just thank the police department, everyone who's coming, the chief, and everyone who's covering lots of hours as we were short staffed. And yes, I knew they were all going to be here, so that's why I added it on the list. But we sometimes say this and when you're not here, so thank you to each and every one of you for all you do in the extra time you've been putting in, especially right now.
Thank you.
I'll ditto what Neil said. Certainly appreciate the police, all of our emergency services individuals that you really make for the town. I'd also like to thank everybody who was involved with the annual school board meeting. I thought that went very smoothly.
All right, thank you. So now we're on to administrative. First up, we have approval of the consent agenda.
I'll move we approve the consent agenda of March 28, 2022.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Approval of the public meeting minutes from March 14th, 2022.
I'll move them.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Approval of non-public meeting minutes, March 14th, 2022, session 1.
I'll move them and note they are sealed.
I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, approval of non-public meeting minutes, March 14th, 2022, session 2.
I'll move and note they are not sealed.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, approval of public meeting minutes from March 25th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And approval of non-public minutes from March 25th, 2022.
I'll move and note those are sealed.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. All right, thank you. So that brings us to our 5:30 swearing in of Sergeant Brian O'Connor. And I understand the chief wants to make a few remarks. You will hear
Somewhere here.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. I want to promote Brian O'Connor, the rank of sergeant. And the reason why is because he's taken a lot of extra responsibilities along the way. He's our firearms instructor. He's our field training officer. He's my evidence supervisor. He's my project coordinator for the grants. And he does a lot of stuff above and beyond what he used to do. So I appreciate that. He's been dedicated for 12 years to this department in this town. He has his bachelor's from Bridgewater State College. He's just overall a good officer and somebody that used to be promoted and brought up and appreciated. So thank you for all that you do for the department. So thank you.
All right. I just want to apologize that I'm not more formally dressed.
All right.
I completely spaced, and so this does not reflect my feelings about the occasion.
No problem.
All right. Honor reading your oath of office. I'll try to make it easy. Okay.
Sure.
I, Brian T. O'Connor,
I, Brian T. O'Connor,
do solemnly and sincerely swear and affirm
solemnly and sincerely swear and affirm
that I will bear faith and true allegiance
that I will bear faith and true allegiance
to the United States of America
to the United States of America
and the state of New Hampshire,
and the state of New Hampshire,
and will support the constitutions thereof.
and will support the constitutions thereof.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I, Brian T. O'Connor,
I, Brian T. O'Connor,
do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent upon me
all the duties incumbent upon me
as police sergeant,
as police sergeant,
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
agreeably to the rules and regulations
agreeably to the rules and regulations
of this Constitution
of this Constitution
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I sign on the bottom? Okay. Okay.
You didn't yell, that's a good sign.
Thank you.
I have
Appreciate it.
paperwork for you to sign
Thank
here.
Thank you. Sure.
If you don't mind just
I
signing
don't
your,
mind, no?
where it says Brian. Do I give them both back to you, Neil? Or is-
Yes.
okay. Awesome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Neil, thank you.
Brian.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, everyone. Congratulations.
You guys want to?
Keep the party going. I'll be down in a couple hours.
All right. Let's see, our Economic Development Director has 1 minute, but would you like to come before us? How nice to see you.
Be on this side of the table, thing.
Say that now. We'll see.
We'll see. Hello. I'm coming before you tonight with a few ideas for improvements to Riverway Park, which is, for those who don't know that it has a name, the park where the gazebo resides. And I just will quickly introduce a couple of folks who I've been working with, Brian Cressy and Dave White. We also have enlisted the invaluable help of Eric Buck, who is landscape planner. And essentially, I'm coming before you to get your seal of approval for a couple of improvements, namely the expanding slightly and repaving the parking lot at Riverway Park. I also should definitely mention Stephen, who's on the Economic Development Committee. He's the committee chair. So if at any point he has anything to add or interject, please feel free to do that. So I just want to throw the plan back up there. It's to start. It's nothing that is going to feel overly different or big changes. But as we all know, parking is at a premium in town. It's kind of difficult on busy evenings when there's concerts at the gazebo or other events that the chamber holds. Parking can be tricky. And there are other elements of this park which the Economic Development Committee feels are important to maintain and upgrade in order to be really one of the chambers of the beating heart of Kentucky. There's a lot going on in this lovely village, and the park really kind of helps to, the river, of course, but the park as well really helps to tie things together. So the major first thing that we're looking at is resurfacing the parking lot, removing the middle island as it is now, and potentially getting a few more spaces in the middle. The other sort of major change that you'll see, the yellow line along the top of the park, is the proposed route for the Concord to Lake Sunapee Rail Trail, connecting two sections, one sort of existing along the Covered Railroad Bridge on the west, and then on the east side, the old railroad bed is very clear where it is if you go out there, but it's completely overgrown. It's on Houston farm property there. And ultimately, the hope is that the Concord Lake Sunapee Rail Trail route will secure permission for the rail trail to run across that property. And rather than going straight through the parking lot, which is where the historical rail bed was, we thought that it might be really nice to draw people along the river and have a sort of river path. And in the short term, it would just sort of be cleared for walking and bikes. And over time, as funding is secured and momentum builds, you could potentially widen that and make that a harder surface multi-use trail. So for right now, those are kind of the bigger pieces of this conceptual plan. Just wanted to share that with you all and gather any questions, feedback that you may have at this nascent stage.
So is the parking lot going to, did you say repave? Not repave, just,
Yes.
okay, repave.
Yes,
Okay.
ideally resurfaced and restriped.
And do you want to just mention the sort of parties that gave input to this plan, just so the board knows, because there's a lot of work that went into what we're hearing about right now.
Yes, this is absolutely not just coming from my brain. A lot of it has been in my brain for a long time, but this is the product of a joint effort. We started meetings actually at Brian's. Basically, he put out the bat signal to people who have interest in the park and accessing the river. So we brought together back in September, August even, toward the end of last summer, folks who are, avid kayakers. We had, so Dan Blanchette was there, Paula Simpkins was there. We had, Dave is here, he's on the rail trail board. Let's see, who else is there?
Some property owners in town.
Yeah, business owners, chamber representatives.
Chamber.
Right, Riverway Association. So all kinds of users and folks who have an interest in the park.
Stakeholders.
And so a lot of this stuff that we've talked about has come from their ideas, and there wasn't anyone who came to that meeting and said, "That's fine, don't do anything," So everybody really was excited about thinking about ways to reinvigorate this space, this public space for our village and for use for residents as well as folks who are coming to Kentucky to shop, eat, experience music, art, that kind of thing. So
What's the time frame? Sorry, the time frame on this?
So there are many, many pieces that can all happen sort of independently at any time. However, I think the first thing that needs to happen is the parking area upgrades. So in talking with Dan at Highway Department, he has no promises, and I'm not speaking for him, but he has said that he can probably do some of the prep work in the parking area this spring, summer. And he is going to secure an estimate from the paving company that the town contracts with. And we'll just take it from there. There obviously are funding questions as well around, this is probably a $20,000 to $30,000 repaving project. And while there may possibly be room in Dan's paving budget to do that, it's not likely. So we will be pursuing some grant sources for the overall master plan, part of which would be this upgrade to the parking area. So it's, some of the things can happen early on in-house, and then as time moves on, we'll be pursuing funding sources and accomplishing pieces of it as we can, as funding becomes available.
Do you have a question? Laura?
My question was costs.
Okay.
So Anna, in terms of the layout of the parking lot, is the only area you're looking to add spaces in the existing island?
No, so, I apologize, it's not super easy to see what's underneath the plan. But it's essentially pushing the boundary of the parking lot outwards in east, north, and west direction slightly. And you gain a couple more spaces as you just make the space more efficient.
I know it gets awfully tight when there are, when farmers market is going on.
Yeah, it does. It does. But if the spaces were delineated properly and people parked in the proper spaces, it would make more sense.
And where you mentioned that the former rail bed goes through Rich Houston's property.
Yeah.
Has he been involved in this process?
Yeah, so there have been preliminary conversations with the Houstons. We're not proposing touching their property at all as part of this plan for the moment. The Concord to Lake Sunapee Rail Trail has hopes that in the future, they would be able to work with the Houstons to access that portion of their property.
But you're setting up the trail so that that would be the next step.
Correct.
And if he's adamantly opposed to it, I think that's important to know.
Yes,
We haven't had, sorry.
go ahead. Yes, please, Dave.
David White, I'm on the board with the Lake Country Rail Trail. We have not had any official conversations with him. We've had conversations with people who have had conversations with him. I've talked with both of his sisters just because I happen to see Jimmy at the farmers market all the time, and Kathy as well. He in general is receptive to these types of things. There certainly are a few, he'll definitely have some questions and concerns about, locating, not so much this little section over to his access road in, but, from there over towards Little Tookie Road, that's will be a conversation and we'll have that at some point with him. We're stretched thin kind of in other projects, and in fact, we're still working a little bit on a project. A little bit that way behind TDS, but it is, you know, it's at some point, hopefully, and now I think we've had a few people sort of working there. So my guess is that this summer we'll start having actual conversations. There's no timeline on it. First we have to get permission, and then we have to, you know, raise the money and get grants, do all that. So even if he gave us permission tomorrow, it would be 2 or 3 years before the trail will be able to get built in. Unless someone wants to donate some money.
But would
There's that.
the trail have to go sort of right by his barns?
It doesn't have to. I mean, I have a preferred route that I would like to see that I think addresses what I know his concerns would be. But if in other places, the idea for us for this whole route, which goes from Concord all the way to Newbury Harbor, the idea is to stay on the original right of way as much as possible for a whole variety of reasons. One of which is it doesn't flood like everything else around it because they built it high enough. But there's places, you know, 89 cut it 3 places and 103 built on top of it for a fairly good stretch. So we're gonna and even down at the end of Stevens Rail Trail where the highway is there, we go around the swamp and come out around. So if you know if his route that he would be okay with deviates, then we deviate. Okay. That's it. It's his land. It's entirely everything.
I think I would just add what's not very clear on this plan is that the town property, actually, the entire parking lot, gazebo park is the same lot as the Bates building. So there is a possible connection, you know, the topography is not ideal and the hydrology is not
There's a
ideal.
ravine in there.
Yes, but it would be possible if, you know, if there was not a connection to be made further eastward, you could come out onto the Bates property and hook up with the sidewalk on the street. So it's not a trail to nowhere, but it's at the moment, the easterly connection is not totally clear, but there are possibilities.
And in back of the existing, where the station house is now, is there enough room for a trail without causing erosion into the river?
There is, yes. We walked that the other day. There are some large trees back there, which are beautiful and established, and you can work around those trees and you can have at least, so I think the ideal, you know, in some areas, the rail trail is 10 feet wide, but certainly it doesn't have to be. You can squeeze it. And so there is enough space back there.
And conceptually, I like the idea. Don't get me wrong, but my questions. Wondering for the trail part itself, could that be a project for an Eagle Scout?
Absolutely. Yeah, that could definitely be a project for a scout group. There's also there are different funding sources from the state through the state parks. I believe it's the Parks Department. There's RTP funding, and then there's Land and Water Conservation funding. So both of those can be used for. So the RTP, Recreational Trails Program, is for trails, and then the Land and Water Conservation Fund is for essentially outdoor recreation. Both of those funding sources to be utilized for the trail and park as well. But yes, it could be a scout project, certainly.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I think it looks generally great, but for the gazebo, it's listed as ex gazebo. Is the plan to remove the gazebo?
X would be for existing.
Got it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Not going anywhere.
That would be hilarious. We're getting rid of it.
And then also that pump house, is that the existing pump for the Catuga water system?
Yes.
And is there any problem or limitations around extending the parking lot with that being there? It's the sewer system, not the water system. Got it. Cool.
Sewer. Yes, sorry, sewer.
Probably less. of an issue.
No, there are not issues around that. And thank you for bringing that up. One of the things, just to be totally clear, one of the things that we'd like to do, and I've spoken with Sam, our sewer superintendent about this, Sam Courier, and we could certainly do a site visit if anybody is really interested. This is like, I live and breathe and sleep this, so this is very much in my brain. But so where the pump house is, just to the sort of southwest of that, it's actually, yeah, I guess it's southwest. There are some large ornamental arborvitae that have gotten just massive, that were intended, I think, to shield the pump house, and there's an electrical station to shield that from view from the park. They have gotten significantly overgrown, and so and there's usable space there where those trees are. And so a thought would be to remove those trees, and then Sam's ideal would be to fence off the pump house and the electrical station there. And again, that's something that as funding becomes available, we can, or when materials are donated, we can install that. Just to prevent vandalism of that building. I think it's been vandalized in the past, and I think part of it is because it is so hidden from view in the back of the parking lot with these giant trees around it. But when you remove those ornamentals and up a nice fence around it, it's safer for all. So another thought.
Any other questions? Okay. So do we need like an official motion to accept this, or just
I think it's a conceptual plan.
Right.
It's just,
okay?
More, yes, informational, and just so that you're all informed and public informed. And
Thank you for your work on this and everyone involved. Sounds great.
all right.
All right, we release you.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. All right, so that brings us to old business. We have sale of the Blackford property.
sure, just an update. Oh, well, no, you have the proposed
Bid.
information to put out to bid. We are waiting for the final deed, which should be coming anytime. Everything seems in place for that.
All right,
I had sent you a few suggestions.
Those are all incorporated.
They are not really incorporated.
They aren't, uh-oh. Which one wasn't?
Cash only, no contingencies.
Let's see.
All offers must be in cash.
So the town will deliver the deed and the successful bidder must pay the balance within 20 days.
Yeah, but in order to bid, you have to make an offer that's equivalent to cash. You can't say I have to get financing.
Right.
You can't say I have to be able to subdivide the property or approve the property after I bid on it. We want everybody to be on the same footing, which is so that we're not comparing one offer that's cash and one offer that needs financing and therefore has some sort of strings attached. We want to get rid of it as quickly as
I think
possible.
we're looking for we're looking for cash bids.
Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't
You have
say
to
that.
pay cash within 21 days of closing, so.
Maybe your bid has to be in cash. It can't include something else, whether that's the need to get financing, the need to inspect the property. Cash only, no contingencies. I just think it's going to make it easier for us and it's going to make the process faster.
Can add those exact words.
Okay.
Are you gonna, is it your plan to open these publicly?
Yes,
It is.
yeah,
I don't know if I agree with that, but okay. I don't know if it's required.
that's the way we always, all bids are open publicly.
Well, just from the perspective that if you're gonna ask for best and final, you don't necessarily want everybody to know what everybody else has bid.
Are we required to do that? Or is this how we usually do it?
If you're doing a full bid, yes, this is a little modified, so I don't necessarily know the answer to that.
I mean, anything submitted to us would be a public document.
Not in the negotiated sale until after the sale's complete.
There may be some terms that are, confidential, but I mean, what, other than the price, is there anything else you're thinking of?
No, I mean, it's just to be able to to rate the offers against each other.
Yeah.
They need to be on a common basis, apples and apples, not apples and oranges.
Sure.
And that's the only piece that I think we need to be really clear about. And the 21-day thing I think is fine. No extensions.
Yep. No, I agree with all of that. I guess I'm just trying to understand what's the sensitivity to having the bid amount be known publicly.
Eventually it would become public, but typically in any negotiation situation,
Yeah,
let's say Ken bid 150 and you bid 160 and I bid 120. You, as the person who bid 160, wouldn't want us to know. Right?
right.
What
If we're all submitting them at the same time, I mean, any sort
But
of.
if there's a best and final involved,
Yeah.
and you're gonna up yours by 5,000, Ken's not sure, he might only up his by 5,000. It's not fair to you for him to know that you've been 160.
Oh, okay, I guess I was under the impression that whatever bids were being submitted were the best and final offers. I'd forgotten about the part where we
Right.
picked the top.
They say the top three
That's right.
can resubmit.
Okay,
And do you want
And I was
those
thinking
three
they
to
would
know?
what had been bid before they resubmit.
Once upon a time, that wasn't legal to do under the Real Estate Commission's rules. It is legal to do now.
Which is legal to do now.
To disclose what the other offers are. It's legal. I just don't think it gives you as much of a benefit as not knowing.
So your thought is that whatever the top three are, nobody's going to know what those amounts are.
That's how I would do it if I were running this process myself.
I think that's the way to maximize the bids.
I mean, you might think, oh, he bid 160, he's gonna get it anyway, and you don't submit it, that's the fun.
I mean, the only reason we cannot disclose that sort of information is if we, the town, feel like it's exempt from the right to know law for some reason.
But real estate negotiations, which we've had in non-public session on many occasions,
Exactly.
the discussion is always, these minutes are sealed until after the transaction is completed.
Right, right.
And so I would guess that this would fall under that same guideline, but I don't know.
Yeah.
How quickly do documents become public? I mean, everyone submits their documents from that point. How quickly does it usually go until they're public? Because its timeline is like 4 days, 5 days.
Well, but if the highest bidder doesn't close in 21 days, we're gonna have to start the process over.
I mean, somebody could show up at the meeting
Take the second highest
opening
Right.
and ask to see the bids.
And certainly when we open lots of bids, people do,
Right.
because they know.
And that's why I think we need to figure out what we want to do.
Yeah.
Whether it's
Just so it's.
make them public or not make them public. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
So you're suggesting they're open and then the top three bidders are told, you're one of the top three bidders. Do you want to put in it?
You have 5 days
Change
to
your
submit your best and final.
And not divulging what their amount was at that time.
Again, if I was running it, that's how I do it,
I mean, maybe we want to get,
because we want you to bid 108,
right.
get it out all the money.
I get it. I want the same thing. Maybe we should ask either the municipal association or our legal counsel how best to do that.
Sure.
I mean, but that will mean that we probably won't be able to finalize this tonight.
I don't know what to finalize tonight anyway.
Okay.
And we're technically still waiting for the deed. So
Oh,
we
that's
probably don't want to advertise it till we have the.
That's probably a good idea.
Just, you know, when is that expected? Has it been recorded and we're just waiting for the county to give it to us?
No, it's in the process of getting signed, recorded, so that should happen. It's in the attorney's hands, but both the seller and the attorney are anxious.
So Neil, do you have what you need to ask about that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Because it does seem, I mean, if we're opening them at a meeting, unless we're in non-public, how do we not divulge that?
Generally, we open them in advance of the meeting,
Oh,
and that's the way this is scheduled the week before. Because like if it's a bid for whatever, then they can be reviewed before they come to you to assure that they meet all the bid specs.
mhm.
Our general process for just bids in general.
They're presented to us. Oh, I see. So the final one, okay. Huh. All right. Can we move on to appointments to office?
Sure, you have quite a few in there. We're still working through the final people to hear back from, so.
Thank you for outreaching.
There's quite a few there.
Yeah,
And then we'll go to the next step once we're.
Isn't Horseshoe Tavern or agenda?
yes, it is. Under updates. Any luck with new economic development people?
No,
Okay.
I thought there was one that was going to contact you, but I will prod them.
he's
To do that.
not been
Okay.
contacted for economic development.
Okay.
If the name hasn't come up for economic development, what about that, imagine?
Okay, that's a good one, yeah.
Impressive, it's just.
Oh, I
We've
see
tried that.
that. All right. So thank you for your work on that, Neil. Next, we have updates, tax deeding, Horseshoe Tavern, and Transfer Station Lagoon.
Sure. Tax deeding, I've been working with St. Jean's, so we're moving forward there, providing that information to get set up for that and all the notices the final notices we have to do. Horseshoe Tavern, I think I have a surveyor that will be in, so I am happy
Nice.
after calling.
Good job, Neil.
Thank
Um,
you.
And Transfer Station Lagoon, you had the update that DES, we had submitted the initial reports. What's going to happen next week is a site visit, and we'll know more with DES. And we'll know more from there. So those are those three items.
Okay. Next, we have new business, a barn tour on April 11th.
Sure. So you have the application for a barn easement. And generally what happens is that there is a tour. So it's okay with you, we'll schedule that for the next meeting to tour the barn. It's right in Kentucky Village. And then you come back and do the rating. I included the rating sheet in the packet and all of that for the process that you go through. Application, I would have to say, is the most extensive application we have ever received. It may help the applicant is a planner by trade. So,
Okay.
So would the tour be at our usual time and then we come here?
yes,
Yep. Is that the person who's doing the blacksmith shop?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Next is town administrator updates.
Sure. Don't usually get to do this much talking. Last week was my town administrator lunch. We're kind of back into a normal schedule, which is really nice. Let's see, we are receiving an equipment grant. Most towns have received a $50,000 equipment grant. So the paperwork's been done for a ventilator and a heart monitor. The price of paving is up quite a bit. Dan was going to come in tonight, but he wanted to get some more prices. So my guess is he will be at your next meeting as he puts together a plan to figure this out, as well as we're hoping to have the Tyler Bridge next phase numbers by that meeting too, so everything can tie in together. I've been working on and finished basically the merit increases which take effect, so we're doing all that. I've been through health insurance. Basically, even where we are now, we're well covered in the budget, given after everything was in. Guaranteed maximum came in at the guaranteed maximum, which was unfortunate. But we're still going to go through all the options, but I think the budget is fine the way it is. So
You obviously anticipated one of my questions.
I did.
Another, with just the equipment, is that federal money?
Yes, it is through the state. And it's specifically for equipment. And every town, I believe most every town received $50,000, and it's a 5% match, which we have in our equipment fund anyways.
And because I lost track of it, did Webster approve the transfer station fee increases?
Yes.
And has anything happened with regards to the George Park Committee?
Nothing that I'm aware of. I still don't know what its purpose is. What's supposed to happen, so.
Yeah, wasn't the school board supposed to take lead on splitting the cost?
It was,
something?
yeah, I mean, it was their idea at a
Yeah.
joint meeting.
Yeah,
Right.
we are in the process, which has taken longer than like everything else. It's hard to get prices and good prices for the fence replacement that
Mhm.
both you've talked about and the school board has talked
Yeah.
about, so.
Yeah.
They offered the Concord Park.
Right, so that probably wouldn't replace until after school is out, but
Mhm.
we should have it done before August when fall sports start.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Okay, that brings us to the public forum. If anyone online wishes to speak, you can raise your hand. Or if anyone in the room wishes to speak, you can come on up.
Question of barn tour was that's the Houston.
Wrong barn.
98 Park Ave.
Okay,
Wait,
thank you.
For historic barns, the state has a historic barn preservation easement that people can apply for, which gives a tax break on renovations they do, restoration they do to the barns.
All right, well, we'll close public forum. Anything for other? No, we're good. All right. So that brings us, we have 2 non-publics tonight and we are right on time. Wow, okay. So thank you everyone who joined us and thank you everyone who's online. We're gonna, I assume, go into our non-publics and afterwards we will adjourn. So I will move that we go into non-public under A3C for one session and a second session.
I'll second.
Stephen,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
I mean, yes, Jeff,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna go into non-public.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.